Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament. The match between DD Gamings and Mageius is about to start, and it started right now. Let's have the stream catch up. And off go our runners. DD heading, not going to the white magic shop. Early warp is nice, but not really what you're looking for at level 1. Meanwhile, in the white magic shop, we have Cure 4, so looks like that first level is going to come the old-fashioned way, through punching. DD electing to run from the pack of imps early and maybe to get a smaller pack, but 5 with a chance to strike first, you can usually thin it out fairly early. Well, we have the bottle in the first town in Canaria, but as it tends to be, prohibitively expensive, so we'll just have to wait and come back later when we have some more money. Typically after the volcano is when you see runners able to buy things, and it looks like DD's going to head up to the temple, although he is hurting a little bit on the equipment side. There was a saber available for, I believe, 400, and I think that would have been a good pickup. It would have let him get through these groups a lot quicker. And yeah, DD bought some armor, but did not equip it. But through some sheer determination, makes it to level 3, and yep, he remembers. And he did pick up a saber, just forgot to equip both the armor and the weapon. So he'll be headed up to Temple of Fiends, although if I was him, I might consider taking a run back to town just to heal up a little bit. Yeah, he's got some cabins, he's fine.
Alright, I apologize if the mic is working now.
Can hear you loud and clear.
Bloody hell, it's been like 15 minutes trying to get this thing to work. Sorry about that.
No problem, glad you could make it.
So yeah, the entire time I'm watching him thinking, please go back to town. It's driving me crazy. Because of how weak he is. I should probably clarify there. He needs the life. But outside of that, there's no AoE. There's an early bottle, but you're not going to have the cash for it. There's no drops worth a darn outside of, I guess, that silver gauntlet for the fighter to equip on DD's side. So this is not a fantabulous start for either runners when it comes to the easy mode flags for FF Rando.
The 5,000 gold is going to go a long way in allowing him to pick up some items, but everything is expensive, and he's going to have to do all these fights the hard way until he makes it to Provoca.
Yeah, I mean, having to punch out everything individually is not great. And unless you went really out of your way to map out the step count and then make sure you stuck to that step count and got cabins or tents so that you could get all the way to Provoca, that's probably not shaping up very well for you. Not that I've done any of that. But that's a Garland down for DD, so there you go there.
Reaching level 4 and should have about at least 8,000 or so in his pocket, so good spending money for when he makes it to Provoca. I'm curious to see if he'll buy a bunch of cabins just to try to skip encounters on the way there.
I usually, if there's any sort of El Cheapo housing situation, I try to grab either the tents or the cabins, if the cabins are cheap enough. But I'll grab 10 tops. That's what I go for, because that's enough to try and carefully walk your way to Provoca in case imps or what have you are going to be turning you to stone or have Inferno or whatever. It's just my hard and fast rule of thumb, don't die trying to get to town 2. It's usually a good rule of thumb. And there's Mage taking down Garland. He's at 5, so he has the level advantage, but he's behind, I don't know what, a good solid minute. Wait, he killed Garland. He warped out. He's fighting Garland again? I'm lost. Did you catch that, Edge?
No, I missed that. I was too busy looking at the text bridge.
I'm confused as to if I missed something there, because I could have sworn he killed Garland, but then he warped out, and now he's fighting Garland again. My brain hurts.
Meanwhile, Dee Dee's going to check out the Matoya's cave and finds the Sun Sword and the TNT.
Sword, yes. And, oh wow, that is a great Matoya right there. Thank you, Blind Lady. And a house. So, I mean, if you need whatever spells you might have at this point, you're set. Also, fun fact, and I know this from experience, don't cast Exit after beating Garland and then being taken to the castle because it'll warp you. Actually, as Mage just found out, and I was saying right this second, don't cast any of those exit spells because it'll take you to the last place you actually directly entered. So he was taken all the way back to the Chaos Temple. So that was not the greatest of decisions. I'm sorry. So he has to walk all the way back to Canaria now.
And clearly, this is a well-programmed game.
Well, you know, they thoroughly expected you to have warp and or exit at this point of time. I mean, it's obviously in the code. Right up there with, well, why don't you have the crown prior to going to the final location of the game, since you should have had it about an hour into the game?
And we had Cure 3 in the White Magic Shop. More healing is always useful. Not much else too useful. Maybe Invis for the final battles. Fast, however, and Temper. That's a good level for the Black Mage. Still no AoE though, so time to kill pirates the slow way. Let's hope they don't have Stone Touch.
Stone Touch or any AoE, because when there's 9 of them, it's not even the damage, it's how long it takes for 7 to 8 of them to do through all of their damage before you go, please stop. Also, you could die. It's a real shame, too, because this is predominantly all single target, or really it is just all single target. There's nothing that Mage could do to try and catch up because there's no AoE on his end either to really clear through the battle any quicker. But he's making the smart decision of going to Matoya as well, so he's going to be very, very happy with what he sees.
And the pirates are down.
Free boat! I love it when I punch a buccaneer in the face and I get a schooner out of it. So, item shop in town 2, probably nothing major. Yeah, house, heal, cabin, pure, soft. The general stuff that you want to see. DD's grabbing a bunch of heals because that's the smart thing. You don't want to rely on that Cure 4, which you've only got like 3 or 4 casts on the White Mage. We haven't seen the armor shop yet, so we're still looking for pro rings or silver or better when it comes to the bracers. That is your proverbial jacks or better to open. Silver or better, which is the equivalent of 15 levels on a black belt, for those of you paying attention at home.
Looks like he's a little out of money, so he's going to do some fundraising in the woods here.
That's interesting because normally most people head south for the greater opportunity of trying to force a fight with an ogre or two, but I mean, an iguana is fine. I think it means that there is still the same drop table. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that's how the math works out for the step count. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Meanwhile, in the weapon shop, we have silver hammer, but no silver sword.
As happy as Maxwell would be for that weapon to be found, it's not really what you're hoping for. Page just realizing I should probably go to the inn before taking on the pirates, which is probably a good decision given the life situation and not grabbing a bunch of cabins prior to coming on out here.
Oh, always good to play it safe.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I'm not going to argue with that at all. If you're afraid of something going wrong, like because you don't know in these instances, if you walk in and they all have some sort of AoE, like poison,
and we have our first AoE in the Black Magic shop. It is Ice 2. And in the White Magic shop for DD, we have Invis 2 and Heal 3. But he doesn't have enough money to pick up either of them. So he's just going to check the level 4s real quick. Nothing too exciting. Harm 4 is nice against ghost encounters in the Sea Shrine, but that's about it. And Fire 3, so another AoE, but not the best ones, and both of them coming fairly late. Now Mageius has a ship, and is going to do the same sort of cycle. Let's see if he checks the armor shop, though, because DD elected to skip it. No, he elects to skip the armor shop as well, so we may never know what was for sale in there. DD's saving up to go check the Titan's Cave. Question in chat: have you guys seen mage teams do well? They've been competent. The advantage for mage teams is that they're more powerful in the beginning of the game, but significantly weaker as the game goes on. So a lot of our runners have elected to choose 1 physical damage dealer and 3 mages, or 2 and 2, and that seems to be working fairly well. Another question in chat: has anyone willingly ran a thief in the tourney? No, and nor should you. The issue with the thief is his drawbacks of having a very poor equipment pool and very weak stats far outweigh the benefit of his ability to give you better initiative in fights and run away from fights guaranteed. I'm sure, yeah, at least in the matches that I've watched, no one has run a thief.
I mean, to be fair, the thief, when it becomes a ninja, is really powerful towards the end game, but you have to deal with so little at the beginning of the game that he's almost just worth a dead slot.
Yeah, it's tough, especially because the ninja, with his access to high crit rate weapons, can actually be fairly useful in the end game, and access to black magic.
I mean, yeah, the ninja with level 4 black mage spell, so he's getting up to half of the black magic spells out there, so possibly haste. Katana's great; he can wear most of the armor out there, plus the advantages towards getting the act first and the increased chances of running. He's really great for the end game, but he is just not great at the start. Most of the times when I run a dead person slot, it's a thief. He's either trying to run for me or he's just dead on the ground, because in either case, great.
DD finds Ice 3 and Nuke in the shop in Melbourne, but doesn't have enough money for either of them. So he's just going to thin out this wolf pack to get some money.
Yeah, when Nuke is on the table, I can't fault you for stepping outside for a fight to get a little bit of cash, because it's Nuke. It's a level 5 spell, but he does have a black mage, which means he only has to get to, I think, level 16 for the first casting of it, which takes not many fights in the randomizer. Boosted XP is fantastic.
Especially now that they have the ship, the enemies outside the Crescent Lake area are going to let him get those levels fairly quickly.
I mean, it'll get him even quicker once he finishes off a fight or two and then has Nuke. He can roll up on, I don't know, the quad giant, and he's set. So Mage is now seeing the same locations, but it looks like he is going to go right ahead. Oh, he's actually stepping out of the water. No, I thought he was going to farm a bit. He went back and forth a bit, but I think he second-guessed himself, but now he's headed right to Crescent Lake. I think he's going to go right for the canoe and move onward from there. So no Nuke for Mage. Mage doesn't even have Fire 3, so that's a bit of a gutsy gamble. That's leaving a fairly decent AoE on the table. Maybe not necessarily for the Volcano, but in general, Fire 3 is a hell of a powerful spell.
Yeah, it would be very nice for the ice cave if necessary, and against those ghost formations again.
And definitely, since it's a black mage who might just get one shot in anyways, it's definitely a great thing to have for the lich, because when you roll up on him, you're either going to die or hopefully the black mage will be able to contribute. Fire 3 would contribute.
We have a pack of EXPs, but Mageius doesn't feel comfortable taking that fight yet. Maybe if he had Nuke.
I mean, level 8, I tend to feel like anything in this area, I don't really mess with it unless I have Nuke or Fade or I'm at level 11 or higher. I just don't even mess with it. So I respect the decision. Again, I don't know if I agree with fighting the 2 giants, though, because Ice 2 and a couple of Ice 2s, it's still not enough. These giants present a big enough issue that they could one-shot anyone on his team.
I think he felt comfortable enough with the first strike opportunity to do it, and just happened to pull it off. So
that's true, and he pulled it off, and that's fair. So I mean, but for all intents and purposes, Mage is ahead right now. To be fair, DD has Nuke, so that'll cover a lot of ground very quickly, but ahead. I'm curious, do people even bother looking in the magic shops from this point on? Because it's going to require a lot of money and grinding just to be able to use whatever they see.
After the Volcano, you generally have enough money to buy things in the level 6 shop. Level 7 and level 8 usually go unchecked unless there's something critical that is not in the earlier shops, like no access to Life or Life 2.
I mean, I agree. Life and Life 2 are definitely more of the critical ones. Let's say, in terms of Black Mage, is there anything above level 6 that you feel like you have to go out of your way to look at? Strictly opinion.
In terms of the Black Mage, the only thing I might consider is fast, and only for high percentage.
Yeah, I would agree. Fast is about the only thing I would think of. If I saw absolutely no exit whatsoever and there was a warp and they could learn it, then maybe. Or maybe Nuke. I don't know. That one-shot Nuke could be useful against 9 waters in Temple of the Past. Also, please no.
A couple of questions in chat. The first being, do you get to know the random character? So for the later flags, you'll be forced a random character. And yes, you do get to know which character you're getting ahead of time, so you can build your team around it. And another question, will there be any classes that runners will randomly be restricted from using? There will be no bans, although later rounds will have your entire party forced. I
thought it was up to 3 characters and then you could pick the last class.
I'm not sure. I think maybe the finals will have your entire party forced, but I'll have to check the flags again.
That's entirely fair in either case. I wouldn't be surprised if they did force a full party. I think for finals it's just 3 characters and you can pick the last. I think the only full 4-party forced is for the winner after finals, where they have to do a 4-party class. Which, by the way, we have a poll for that. So if you want to vote on the 4-character class that they have to use, please go ahead and vote in that. I think the winner so far is 4 Thieves, because you all hate good taste and decency. But up next is the 4 White Mages, which could be interesting, and I think some of you realize that, because if you have Fade, it kind of trivializes things. But, you know, go ahead and vote on it anyways.
Looks like Mageius is doing a little bit of leveling outside of Crescent Lake, whereas DD is heading straight to the volcano. Feels pretty comfortable with access to Nuke that he could probably clear that top floor out.
So, Edge, for the completely uninitiated, would you like to go ahead and give a quick rundown of the classes for people in chat that may not know for some weird reason, who stumbled upon this channel blindly?
Sure, so let's go down the line, starting with DD Gaming's team. In the front slot, he has the Fighter, who is your general frontline tank, has access to the best armor in the game, and hits his attacking peak earlier than most of the other physical damage dealer. So good for him to have a decent sword early, and as you can see with that Sun Sword in hand, he's getting a lot of work done.
Yeah, outside of the Ninja, which is the expanded version of the Thief, the Sun Sword is the third best weapon in the game, which you already have, which the Fighter, a starting class, can use. So a class that peaks early damage-wise and he has the third best weapon in the game, yeah, all right, we'll go with that. That's actually a good decision. To expound on what he said, the other thing about him, and he mentioned it, is, early access to the weaponry, peaks early. The other thing about them is they can predominantly wear most all of the armor in the game, if not all of the armor in the game. So outside of when you get the tail, which is a quest item that lets you promote everyone to their advanced classes, outside of that,
So yeah, it's always good to, you can never go wrong with having a Fighter in the frontline slot, just with the equipment pool, and DD finds the Power Gauntlet. That's a good pickup. It lets the holder cast Saber, which when Saber's cast, it gives you 16 extra attack and I believe 10 extra points on the hit.
10 hits, 16 attack.
So one of the new things to the randomizer is that a lot of the bug spells from the previous game have been fixed, so things like Saber and Temper actually work, and it makes things like the Power Glove much nicer than they were in the base game.
Yeah, because you can actually stack that 16 attack and 10 accuracy on your whichever person is holding the Power Gauntlet, they are able to kind of low-rate haste themselves a couple of times, so their damage and accuracy shoot up through the roof. So they might actually get an extra hit per turn, and their damage is worth 1 to 2 extra weapons at that point. It's kind of ridiculous.
So while the AoE has been a bit lacking in the early game, at least access to early ice spells is nice when your first destination is the volcano. So our runners should have a pretty straightforward time getting through.
I'd like to point out that Mage got super lucky by having the Red Mage not die and then making the smart decision of Cure 4 on them and getting it off before the fire could move. So that was actually really smart and really lucky how you didn't just lose a character right there, because I don't believe we've seen Life 1 so far.
Yeah, neither life spell has been available up to this point.
So, arguably the big damage dealer on Mage's side so far was very luckily kept alive. So that was smart and very quick thinking. Mage opting not to go for the damage step to see what the one final chest is.
He'll probably go back in a minute, but can't really blame him for electing to open a few more chests before checking that.
Go for as many looks as you can before you have to take the fight, but as long as you're at least like level 8, you're not in a huge amount of danger because it's a fight you can still run from. So yeah, there's actually a number of fights that you cannot run from in this game. And when it comes to the Volcano, there are a couple ones you really need to know about, but probably the biggest one Well, I'll say the biggest one is the fires because they're the named creature of a volcano. But probably the one that's most annoying is the Wizard Ogre Serapis fight. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and it's problematic because those guys also show up. The Wizogres will show up by themselves, so there may be times when you just don't know whether that's an unrunnable fight, and you have to find out the hard way.
Yeah, that's the big problem I keep coming across with that one is why can't I get a So I'm more of a fan of the if there's a Wizard Ogre, kill them all. So we've seen all the chests on floor 2. Probably the biggest get from all of it was, I would say, the Opal Bracer.
Yeah, the best mage armor in the game, arguably, with 35 defense, and the bracers have very small penalties to evade, so in a lot of ways they're actually preferable to the equipment that the knight is currently wearing.
Yeah, I don't remember right off the top of my head what it is that like Dragon or Opal Armor provides for Absorb, but I remember the Opal Bracer is very, very comparable without the penalties to dodge. So imagine really, really good armor, but you don't get penalized for it. That's the Opal Bracer, and they just found it.
And it looks like Mageius is just going to take the death here.
I mean, to be fair, outside of the Opal Bracer, there hasn't been anything on the first floor that makes you go, oh my god, I have to have this. So even if he does take the death and just comes right back in, he'll move right to the second floor, and he's arguably still tied with DD. He's actually still alive, so he's hoofing it. I don't know, with no life spell, there's really not much that the White Mage is going to be able to do outside of just get the free look. Okay, so there's the death. He's going to walk right... No, he's walking away. Where do you think the Mage is headed?
He might not feel comfortable with where he's at, and now having cleared, I would say, maybe 20 or so chests, he might feel like he has to take a gamble.
Yeah, that's fair. But at the same time, I feel like if you also don't have access to exit or... Well, no, there is warp, isn't there? So warp makes Ice Cave a lot less trivial because you can jump back up one of the holes to search all 3 chests and then essentially just make a one walk through the entire place. The other problem with that is that since the Ice Cave is not incentivized on round 1 flags, it kind of makes you go, you don't have to go there, but you have to kill Carrie. So I feel like walking right back in, marching right back in, and taking out Carrie is still the solid bet.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So if he's headed for the boat, I'm going to go ahead and place the wager that he's headed for the Ice Cave.
Out of the places he could go, he could be checking Marsh, Ordeals, or Earth Cave in addition to Ice Cave. But I think Ice Cave, especially with access to Warp, is the safe bet.
True. I mean, it's either that or he probably just goes and takes out Lich. But I'm willing to bet, given the close proximity, he goes Ice Cave first just to see if he can grab anything of use, and then probably goes back to the volcano. Failing that, it'll probably be Lich to get the extra levels, check a couple of chests, and definitely clear out one of the fiends. Meanwhile, on DD's side, we have those Wizard Ogres, so we don't know if this is a fight that he can run from. But he ran! There you go. See, you don't know. Welcome to this game.
Well, fortunately, they were paired with a green ogre, so it's he had a better idea. But there are times when that wizard ogre will just show up by himself, and
I've had the wizard green, and I still couldn't run, and wondered why, because it was supposed to be wizard green, and the last 2 slots were supposed to be Cerebuses, and it didn't happen, and I didn't know what was going on for about 4 rounds. I hate things, is all I'm saying.
And meanwhile, Didi has begun the Agama grind portion of our run.
So Agamas and the Eye, and there's a third group. Anyways, the highest experience per time spent in terms of grinding out. This is predominantly the one that the people go for, mostly because it's 2 spots, guaranteed fights, back-to-back, that you can just walk back and forth on them, and Agamas, more often than not, are super easy. Quick detour, Mage is going, Ordeals. Not Ordeals.
Yep, Ordeals.
Thank you. Interesting.
So he tried this last time and ran into an issue. Not knowing the teleporter order, he ran into a soft lock.
Oh no! Yeah, there's a thing where if you go across too many teleporters, the game will soft lock on you. But normally, if you're doing a run of this game, you have to have the crown to be able to enter the Castle of Ordeals. But in this particular instance, because of the randomizer, we went ahead and said, nah, that's kind of silly. Let's go ahead and open up early Ordeals. You do not have to have the crown to be able to enter this place. Now, there's a few chests. It's not a chest bonanza. It's a bit out of the way, and there's no guarantee that you're going to find things. But it's relatively quick, and there's a fairly decent amount of experience, and it's arguably safer than the combination of enemies and also damaged tiles that you'll see in the volcano. So it's an all-right decision. I don't know if I agree with going essentially 10-15 minutes out of your way for what might amount to Bupkis. But if you hit the home run, you hit the home.
So Mage is going to pick up a fair amount of experience on these fights here, and it's good that he has Fire 3 to help him clear it out, but he would probably feel a lot more comfortable if he had purchased Harm 4 in Elfland. Harm 4 works on quite a lot of the enemies in this. And looks like he's electing to take this Mud Golem fight as well. I usually don't even bother with this treasure chest because it's linked to another treasure chest in the top. So you can check its contents by opening the treasure chest on the next floor that's usually empty. Meanwhile, Didi's making pretty good progress on the Agama grind, already up to level 18, and as you can see with the Sun Sword and the Black Belt, they're hitting that Agama enough to guarantee it's over in one round every time. Looks like Mageius' main damage dealer has bit the dust, and that's bad news because for his team composition, he definitely wants that black belt to have all of the experience he possibly can, and so a lot of these fights are going to feel wasted unless Mageius finds something in the top floor that's really nice.
And really, on the top floor, there's only going to be... Well, on the top floor of Ordeals, there's a bunch of chests. I was thinking bottom floor for DD, which is a chest, and then, I guess, good luck. But yeah, one of the important things to keep in mind is that DD put the White Mage and Black Mage up front in the party so that they are, 75% of the time, they're going to take the hits. They're going to take the damage. So you want to kill them off. So your big damage dealers are getting all the experience, which is obviously the fighter and the black belt. And somehow this white mage is holding on. I don't know how.
It's just the way the randomizer works. Oh, you're trying to get rid of a character? No, we'll hit everybody else.
Are you kidding me? I've had runs where I had a pro ring and a ribbon on the black belt. He got hit and was turned to stone. My reaction was, turn off. I'm done with this run. I'm out. See ya.
And it looks like Dee Dee's done with waiting for the Agama to do his job. And so with that run on the lava tiles, just one heat will kill off the white mage as well.
Yeah, one top row is like 28 damage, so all you need is AoE or hit, so use some potions on the other people in the party and then just hope he targets the dude up top. Which actually, funny enough, the math is recalculated if the person in the second slot is dead, so then it becomes a 66% chance for the person in the front slot. So I'm assuming the white mage is going to die very quickly. I hope, really.
And then we have a chance to strike first.
Of course we do. So that means use items, kids. Are you a damage dealer? Use that pro ring. You clutch it tight.
And it's exactly what he's going to do. And the Agama lives long enough to burn out the white mage.
There we go. That's what you want to see. A dead white mage. Wait, no, you never really want to see that. All right, you know what I mean.
Oh, no. Nightmares have stone touch and a lot of hits.
Yeah,
and
2 stoned dead. Oh, that's 3. So Mage is walking right. Nah, Mage is thinking about it. Mage is going back. Mage doesn't care about the last, I think, 8 chests. He leaving. Also, the rare Saria. You so never see the Saria show up.
So few Final Fantasy Randomizer runs come to Ordeals, and even then, you rarely see the Soria anywhere. It's usually the special celebrity guest on the Earth floor.
Also true. I mean, I'll go to Ordeals if I've seen like nothing outside of the loot and TNT after beating the volcano. I'll be like, let's go for the home run. Because really, that's kind of what you're hoping for.
So he decides he's not powerful enough to handle Ordeals, so not sure where he's going to go from here.
My money's on Earth Cave. He's going to go ahead and clear through to the vampire and hope for some sort of luck at that point, and then hopefully the rod will have shown itself. That's my guess. That's what I would do, is this sucks, this is stupid. Hello, please, rod. There's a good amount of chests on the way down to the vampire. It's like, what, 20 total?
I believe it's 16 with 8 of them stuck under the plate. So 16 is comparable to the ice cave, at least.
True, and it's easier to handle within reason. It's on the way to a definite objective in the vampire anyway, so at least you'll be leveling up on the way there. So I can't really fault the argument. But again, I also default to, is there a warp or exit easily on hand so you don't have to walk all the way back? Meanwhile, on DD's side, we're still vastly murdering all of the Agamos that we see. That black belt is hitting for 6 hits and all of the damage. And the fighter has a sun made of glowing... A sword made of glowing sun. You know what I meant.
Yep, and we have DD basically running the same strategy that he did in his last match against Mageius, going with the 2 physical damage dealers power leveling. It's a little bit safer than solo leveling a black belt. Nothing wrong with the strategy he's currently employing. We saw Miat do something similar with 2 black belts.
The 2 black belts,
earlier.
yeah. I was going to say, I've had a good amount of success with that, all the way up to the point where I had Chaos one-shot the one I was fasting, and the other one was like, uh-oh. Guess how long that run took me.
No idea.
Yeah, no, you're correct. I after 2 hours, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I hate things. So your answer is correct.
What's interesting is on the top floor of Ordeals, where the heal staff chest normally is, you only have to step on the nightmare tile once because that little notch in the wall is just large enough for you to step around the forced encounter tile.
Yeah, it took me about, I don't know, 15 years to realize that I didn't have to fight the nightmares twice. Not until I watched, I think, Feasel do that, where I was like, oh no. So memo to all you watching, you ain't gotta fight him twice.
And it looks like we may have a dip into the Marsh Cave.
It's an interesting decision, and again, we're hoping for, I guess, a home run at this point, so Godspeed, Mage, do it. Like, if Mage rolls up on all of the freaking remaining items you gotta get, and also a ribbon, then he's got it.
The levels for Mage's characters should line up a little better, so Marsh Cave shouldn't be too much of an issue. It will take some time with all of the ambushes, but survivability shouldn't be as much of a concern.
True. Also, he's doing the usual strat of go ahead and look upstairs for the 4 chests that are there. And then if you see absolutely nothing that you want, he's saved outside, you reset and you walk downstairs so you don't have to open any of the chests on the second floor from there. And I never remember which chests are tied from the top floor to the second floor. So I always open that one that's empty and I always feel stupid.
So we find the dragon armor in Marsh Cave, which does not benefit mages at all.
Benefits in the way of money. So it doesn't benefit.
Meanwhile, Dee Dee's gonna heal up and say hello to the red dragon. See if they get blazed.
For those of you who are reasonably new to the FF run in general, there are a vast majority of the fights in this game that you can run from. You probably just never thought you could. For the longest time, I always thought that trap tiles, you couldn't run from them, and that is vastly not correct. So don't think you can't run from that dragon, because you can. Just because Dee Dee punched that dragon in the face, don't mean you can't run from it.
So nothing critical on the top of Marsh. Time for the dive to the bottom. And Dee Dee is getting ready to take out Carrie. I'm gonna punch this red giant first. One of the harder hitting enemies in the game. Dee Dee trading the power gauntlet over to the black belt just to give him a little more oomph, and I like that play, especially with the fighter in the front slot.
So the fighter with all the life and the armor, yeah, give the dude in the back that extra chance to hit that much harder.
And hits hard enough to one-shot, so
there you go.
Immediately pays off. And hey, that you could run from that one.
Well, yeah, you can. I don't know if I'd gamble on it, but all right. What's the worst ability you've ever seen Carrie have? Go.
Death touch.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, another one of our runners, Purity the Kitty, during one of his runs, ran power level to black belt to 40.
Oh god, yeah, I did see that
was
run.
Immediately dead.
Yep. I had a similar run offline, but it was it was to a wizard ogre, so of course I couldn't run from it. Right, like 3 steps in front of Carrie. I think I threw my controller really far. He was 32. I spent 20 minutes.
32. He died so young.
He did. And then he was reborn back at the tender level of 11. So I was like, we're done here. Goodbye. Actually, I take it back. If Carrie had poison and you didn't properly... Well, no, still death touch. But you could overcome that with pro rings. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could go wrong there.
And meanwhile, on Mageius' side, the red mage is looking for his contact lens.
He's a floor inspector. That's what he does. Floor looks very clean down here in these caves. He's very devoted to his job.
A question from chat: could Carrie get the random nuke spell that's given to a random monster? Yes, but there is only one, and it requires all of the enemy randomization options to be checked. So once
it's possible, but very not likely.
Yeah, and it comes from the evil man's spell ability. So if you happen to see an enemy cast Expert, blow them up, because nuke's coming next.
Yeah, in a seed that I used to play a lot, that I got down to under an hour, my favorite part about that run was I think all of the lobsters and sea snakes had Expert in the Sunken Temple. So that's fun. I've got a black belt. You're dead. I'm restarting.
Yeah, just the sheer volume of lobsters you run into in the Sea Shrine, it makes them really terrifying when the rubber bands come off.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, hooray for a ribbon, but there's still 7 enemies with the trolls punching you in the face, and oh no. Expert, no more defenses. So I can... Oh, so one of the other enemies can now use their one-hit kill. Oh. In retrospect, I don't like that seed anymore. So Mage is selling off a bunch of stuff to... Oh, well, I thought they were doing it to get some gold bracers, but apparently not. What should grab it?
No, gonna fill out the magic. And
Fire 3 I respect, but I don't know how much of that you really need right this second.
And looks like DD is going to be our first racer into the ice cave. So we'll see what is what's being guarded by the eye.
And with the 7 wizard unrunnable fight, oh boy.
It's a good time to use nuke, I would say.
I was going to say, please go to nuke, because they have no strength towards lightning, which is the way the elemental resistances go in the vanilla version of this game. You're not weak to anything, but you are strong against some of the spells, i.e. ice and fire, but not nuke and not lightning when it comes to the wizards. 7 of them, and you have ice and fire. Yeah, use the nuke, please. Edge question.
Yep.
In your opinion, what is the best first 3 chests that you can see in the game?
Hmm.
I know it's a hell of a question, but I love asking it because everyone's answer is different. I mean, okay, to be fair, TMT, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'm trying to think of. So it would probably be. Ribbon, floater. Would definitely be two of them.
I feel like TNT kind of has to be the third because then you're gambling on Matoya, otherwise you have to do Marsh. But other than that, Ribbon is great. It's either Ribbon, Opal, or Mazmoon. So that kind of also tells you the parties that people tend to line up with. But for me, I tend to go, please TNT, please Floater, please Opal. Because if you can roll enough people, at least one person with life, you don't necessarily need Ribbon. Although, in retrospect, yeah, I take it back. Give me Ribbon.
So Dee Dee finds the ruby in the ice cave, and that makes Earth Cave a lot more attractive. With suddenly you have access to 24 chests plus the 4 that are in the Titan's Tunnel. It's like he's getting roughed up a little bit by this mage party, and that's understandable. These guys are some of the cruelest enemy groups in the vanilla game. And that's a wipe for DD, but he's going to go right back in, knowing that there's some very good stuff that he needs to get. The thing with getting TNT early, in my opinion, is whether you get it early, whether you get it late in Marsh or, in Matoya's or Dwarf Cave, everybody else has to deal with the same thing. So there's not very much of a divergence in path at that point. I would almost rather see the 65,000 gold chest as the third. Just that way I know that I have all the rest of the money that I'll need from that point on.
Yeah, that's fair. Can't really argue with that.
DD looks like he's not interested in getting any of those chests that he passed up, but he will go back for the ruby. And the black mage falls victim to some blizzards, and now there's another unrunnable that he has to deal with. So Ice Cave not being very nice to DD here. And it looks like Magus is taking the gamble in Earth Cave now. DD's in a little bit better spot, assuming he can get out of Ice Cave, just because he has the Ruby, which will allow him to clear Earth Cave in one shot. All he has to do is cash that Ruby in and then go get the rod. And nothing too exciting. DD opts to leave the flame armor behind and runs into a group that is not particularly great for his team composition, the 7 wizards, and he is just not high enough level to get them to consistently run away. So, time to thin the herd out the hard way. And it looks like the ruby is the real prize of the ice cave. So Dee Dee will be heading on out and presumably over to Titan's Tunnel in the Earth Cave. May have a ruby required seed here, which is very interesting for the runners to deal with. May just steps on a trap tile again. I've been there. In fact, I think in my last run I did that. And Dee Dee, with about $500,000 in his pocket, will go to Melmond and save, and not quite sure what he's doing. Maybe going back to Canaria to pick up that bottle and shore up his equipment a bit. And looks like he's not going to pick up the bottle while he's there. That'll cost him about 30 seconds, but not a huge critical mistake. Aegis, meanwhile, getting roughed up by an Earth Elemental, and this is where the team composition is really starting to hurt him. A team with a fighter in the front slot soaking up damage would definitely go a long way in helping his party's survivability. It's time for good guy DD to feed the Titan. Big old pile of garbage in the Titan's closet, so he'll be heading to go get that rod now. And now Dee Dee has the rod and is headed to Earth Cave to smash the plate behind the vampire. Meanwhile, a pack of wolves is giving Mageius the business, but a Fire 3 should deal with that situation. Question in chat, are there any treasures after the vampire room? And there are 8 treasures underneath the plate. Both players will want to keep their black mage alive up to that point because checking those treasures is a little quicker with warp. Looks like Dee Dee's going to burn that last tent to move heal potions into a nicer spot in his inventory. One of the problems with the vanilla Final Fantasy game is you cannot rearrange your item menu. We'll see fairly creative solutions from runners, like holding on to the bottle until the last minute, opening it to strategically rearrange items, that sort of thing.
I generally try to keep in mind where tents are, and then I'll have one in my inventory, and then I'll down it when I have to, and then go buy and pack more again when I have to. Which ultimately loses me time anyways, but yeah, I'm trying to be efficient.
That's the best strategy, I would say.
Trying to be good is the best good. There it is. You heard it first.
Now Dee Dee's turn to pick up the whole lot of nothing strewn around the top floor of Earth Cave.
Indeed. Mage knows what's coming, and that's unfortunate.
Question in chat, are they both playing the same rando seed? Yes, they are.
Yes, and both of them have the rod, so both of them are able to just... Wait. Do both of them? I didn't... No. Mage doesn't, does he? Oh, no.
Yeah, Mageius is just taking the gamble that the floater is down here.
It's a hell of a gamble. See if it pays off for him. I'm going to refer to you as Cotton now.
Bold strategy.
We're here on the Ocho.
Well, it's better than the Now show.
I don't know, man. I mean, they don't poison anymore. Not since the rando. I'd rather deal with them than Hydras and Caribes.
To be fair, I would rather not deal with any of the river encounters. Just let me use tents and ignore them.
Well, yeah, who wants to deal with those guys? I mean, angry fish and a thing that calls himself Nacho? No. And a Hydra. They have a Hydra down here.
Dee Dee finding the katana, but yeah, thieves in this rando? Haha.
Why?
Fighter's just gonna look at it and be like, what a funny sword. It's not even heavy.
The fighter wonders how many feats he'd have to take to be able to throw it as an improved weapon. Not improved, improvised weapon. That's it. But even then, despite its damage as a melee weapon, it would still only be a 1d4. With feats, it'd be a 1d6. I'm so sorry for going down this route. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's no problem. It's actually right on subject. Chat is just making some comment about the relationship between the original Final Fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons.
I'd also like to point out the fact that obviously wizards are mind flayers, so please don't think about that too much because. And apparently, one of the original creators of the combat and so on for this FF was a fan of Americanized football and wanted to implement that somehow. And I know I read that article, and I need to look it up now.
Yeah, if you do find it, let me know. I would definitely be interested in reading it. And Mageius' gamble pays off. That's a floater in the vampire validation chest. But Dee Dee's gonna find that exact same floater and be able to finish the dungeon, giving him a distinct advantage.
True. I mean, Ruby is one thing, but Floater is so much else. And when you've already downed one of the fiends and you've had so much grinding, Dee Dee's got a commanding lead. So yeah, according to Hiroyuki Ito, one of the game designers for this FF game, among many others, he actually said that he loved the idea. He loved the idea of both groups from each side, offense and defense, if you will, having their own specific battle plans lined up prior to snapping the ball, aka hitting OK on the last person. He based that off of NFL. That's he said it's the closest thing. So there it is.
And let's see what Dee Dee finds under the plate.
I'm guessing Lich.
I mean, besides a big old sack of bones. Maybe you can find a ribbon or two.
My guess is the slab and does no one has the crown, do they? Okay, slab, crown, Mazmune, and like 3 ribbons. Max. Is that too much?
I've had a run kind of like that once. 2 ribbons in the crown down here.
I'd love a run like that.
Oh, there's one.
There's a ribbon! Called it. Immediately drops that silver helmet to the ground because ribbon. I love it.
And Dee Dee, taking the long walk back, would save a few steps with warp, but not a critical mistake. And Mageius is the first with the airship. We'll see where he heads from here. Crescent Lake's a good place to go. It's always amusing to think of finding a house in a treasure chest. And there's the big money chest. But with all of the power leveling, Dee Dee has no need for money from here on out.
Big money, big prizes. I love it. So pro rings were in on-rack. Not on-rack. Crescent Lake. I'm totally off on towns. Sorry. But yeah, pro rings. Good to know.
The best arm slot armor in the game, in my opinion. Just 8 defense. I believe it's 3 evade hit and protection from death. Really, really good item that should be on all of your characters.
Yeah, because when it comes to the pro ring, it's not about the defense and evade. It's about the, oh, I didn't just die right now.
Especially in the later seeds, there are some nasty AoE instant death attacks, like Toxic, that get shuffled into the mix.
Oh, God, Toxic. Yes.
And anything to protect you from Toxic, Rub, 4X, any of those.
I mean, to be fair, XXXX followed by whatever. You might not even know until something hits you, or not Xfer, and then you didn't know they could one-shot you, but suddenly they can.
And now Mageius picks up the rod. DD wrapping up his business in Melmond and is going to sail over and pick up that airship.
You know, as you do. Because why wouldn't you?
And Mageius will not be feeding the Titan. And will probably be disappointed with the assortment of items.
I would imagine disappointment. If you're not, then, I mean, why not? 10k, coral, 795, silver. That's disappointment.
And now it's bottle time. And DD Gamings picks up the bottle. I'm going to take that over to Gaia. And it looks like...
having to go out of your way to pick it up with the airship. I mean, you have to, because if you're monetarily strapped, it's just what you have to do. Which is why we were questioning why Mageius didn't grab it earlier, went on the boat. You had the funds, man. Do it.
And
Ooh,
life too. But sorry, you're going to need the tail.
Oh, that sucks. Have we seen Life 1? I blanked again, I'm sorry.
No, that's the first life spell that we've seen.
So that means it's probably a level 8 or an obscure 7 out an on-rack, and that's silly. That means the white mage is not hugely useful here.
It looks like DD's going to go answer the door, or...
Take a phone call, take
grill
a nap, you know, whatever.
Grill a steak.
Stopping to use a tent himself. Just
doing some math, trying to figure out how you fit a house in a treasure chest.
Trying to figure out, why won't this fighter use a katana? Come on! It's a slightly smaller Excalibur. Do it.
Oh, with the high crit rate, it would actually be very good if you found it early on.
You're not wrong. But he's very picky about the weaponry that he uses. So Mage is in another unrunnable fight. Wizards, you can't run from them. That's how it works in this game. So don't try. I'm sorry if you've tried. You wasted your time.
It sounds like we've got a third commentator here. Is that a cat that I heard?
No! Yes. His name is Hank. He wants attention. He has attention now, so maybe he won't talk anymore.
This will be Dee Dee's first encounter with the nightmares and gets away, so no harm. And we'll try again. And again, gets away just fine. And we have out of bounds bat. Run is validated.
Out of bounds bat is best bat.
Set for noting that the free islands chests haven't been checked by either player.
Yeah, but you're talking about like 8 chests that take 3 to 4 minutes to look at. And they're also not incentivized, so... Unless you have a reason to go there, you generally don't go out of your way to look there.
I will generally take a look at those chests when I have one item that I need for go mode. Mostly because I'm looking for other equipment by the time I get out of Volcano, and I'm going to need to open more chests anyway.
Which is fair, but I mean, okay, let me throw out a hypothetical. You found the bottle, obviously, and the TNT. You have floater, slab, and crown, and then you've done all the crown stuff. How much more in the way of chests are you looking at this point?
It all depends on the equipment that I have and the team layout that I have. If I'm not power leveling a black belt, then I'm probably looking for Mazmune or Excalibur, adamant with the tail, for my physical damage dealers, and definitely 2 ribbons, because there are some very nasty things in Temple of Fiends Revisited. We'll take a look at what is in the level 7 shops, and of course it's Exit.
Exit, yeah. Stops in front of the black mage door, says, nah, and leaves. I respect that. What else is there?
And we are into the Sea Shrine for DD Gaming's. And his first encounter, a pack of sharks.
As is what you do when you're underwater in a shrine with mermaids. Also the Kraken.
And here we have what is arguably the worst unrunnable encounter in the game.
I have less of a problem with this group because of they're relatively weak at this point. Like, when you first run across Wizard Ogre plus Cerebus, and just... I don't like that group, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just, this group just feels bad because they're not threatening at all, but there's 9 of them, and you gotta sit through all the cast animations, and...
I mean, for my money, 9 waters. That's the worst. Or ghosts.
Oh, speaking of which...
4 ghosts. It's the previous party that tried to come down here and died.
That's why they didn't get very far. They only have 1 attack.
Well, yeah, you gotta bring the AoE. I mean, duh. Have some dude with Fire 3. Mage is going up against Lich. Let's do it. He's got a nuke. He's using Invisible 2 instead of going for the all-out Harm 3. But he casts Ice 2. That's weak. He's probably dead. I would wager this turn, if not easily the next.
Yep,
Not
and there
this
he
turn.
goes down.
There it is.
Looks like Mageius was setting up for a longer fight. Probably doesn't realize that Lich has not very much HP at this stage of the game.
I mean, we're talking, what, 20% on first round, so it's 320 to 500 hit points. That's... You really don't need to worry about gambling on too much hit points for him here.
Just going punching.
I mean, sure, as long as you're a black belt, but if you're a black mage, you chose poorly.
Especially if you're unequipped. It just looks like you're waving at Lich.
I mean, what other options do you have at that point? Is that a Lich? Well, I'm screwed, so I'm going to say hi. Hello, Mr. Lich. How are you, sir? Oh, nuke. Good.
And it looks
Meanwhile,
like
on BD side, water.
yeah, it looks like the water's rolled a little high on the HP, so that ought to make the encounters in TOFR that much more interesting.
Yeah, waters in Sunken Temple are... How hard are they going to be? Waters in Temple of the Past are... Oh, please, no. That's a great peed.
Are we sure that's what it stands for? He just looks angry. Maybe it's a Gurpeed.
Might be gray, like the color.
Or
Grumpy?
green. I don't know. He seems pretty grumpy.
There you go. Grouse. He's grousing a lot.
We have Lit 3 and Zap in the magic shop.
Oh,
So
another
Mage is
ribbon
selecting-
for DD. So the rich get richer.
And Mageius finds out where Life 2 is and is
And
none too
promptly
pleased
gets
about
annoyed. Oh, there's that cat claw up for sale. Get it for your black mage. Do it.
Oh, worst prize.
Here you go, black mage. Please stab this thing.
And
You know I'm a black mage, right?
Mageius just walking out of the side. Wonder. I don't think he's picked up the bottle yet, so that's probably what he's
I'm
having to
curious
do right now.
if he remembers where the bottle is. He saw it an hour and a half ago, but does he remember? I don't mean that as a shot or anything.
Oh, and Mageius finds the crown.
He found the crown! Oh my... Oh, wow. Island chests are the way to go. Wow, that could be huge.
Especially if the slab turns out to be key locked.
That's really all I have to say right there.
Yeah, imagine if the slab is sitting in that one mystic key locked door in.
Imagine if it's in the
Sea
Marsh
Shrine.
Cave.
Oh,
Oh, man.
so there was a crown in the dragon horde. Let's see what else we find. Silver
Bunch of
armor.
silver
Not too, that's not too bad of a pickup. The red mage can definitely equip that. Might be a little more efficient usage of the armor if Opal gets moved over to somebody else.
I mean, really, until you get to level 34 or higher, it's pretty good for your black belt.
Agreed.
Well, you do have to open your armor each time, but still. So still no bottle, but Mage is going right to the waterfall.
It looks like he's headed to Onrak, perhaps to check out the magic shop and the item shop if he doesn't remember that he's seen the bottle yet.
Meanwhile, on DD, we got the Kraken, which is, I think, the second or third hardest hitting enemy in the game, behind Kraken in the past.
And demonstrates exactly why by knocking out that black mage.
I mean, he would have nearly knocked out, well, anyone except the top two people, but they've been grinded up a lot. So really, the black mage stood no chance.
And there is nothing.
Okay, 15 hits, 1381, yes.
So you can do 8 hits, I can hit you for 15.
Can't really argue with that. Oh, he's going back to... Yeah, okay, yeah, I respect that. Doing that right there. Resurrecting the black mage, going to the inn.
And I mean, let's be fair, that's a very nice inn. I mean, we're talking like Residence Inn quality here.
I mean, they've got bunk beds, but only if you want to go. Oh, he's going back in. He's looking at the top floor. Oh, wow. Okay.
Still has no idea where that crown is or the slab, so not a bad move. He will never be closer than he is now to these chests on the top
You're
floor.
not wrong. And he has a... Oh, there's a tail. That's good.
That's very good for him. That'll give him access to life 2.
Access to life 2, and all of the armor that you happen to come across that might be great for that fighter, he will use. And 4 levels of white magic. You know what I'm trying to say. The knight uses white magic. Meanwhile, Mage, remember where the bottle is? He's grabbing it. There it is.
He didn't grab it because he doesn't have enough money.
Oh, no, you're right. And he's now realizing he needs the cash. He's got to sell some stuff.
And he should definitely have enough. The armor shop, maybe not the best idea, but I've seen him pick up a katana or two, and that should really ought to do it. There it is.
Silver hammer, dragon sword, katana. Yeah, you're good now. I say silver hammer. Yes. Silver hammer, sun sword. I'm trying to rattle them off. I'm combining things. Anyways, he's got the bottle. Blue.
So now Mageius has the bottle and is headed to Gaia. Meanwhile, Didi runs into another pack of ghosts. Looks like these adventurers got a little further.
Plus, they had a party of 5, so there were like FF4 characters.
And
but it was easily dominated FF4 characters. So it was like Palom and Porum and Tella and Yang. And Cecil, but he's always there.
Yeah, it was Tella after he casted Medio, right?
Yeah, that's probably true. Ooh, heal staff for DD. I respect that.
And a pro ring, which is nice for DD because he has not picked them up on his own.
So pro ring and ribbon on the soon-to-be probably knight at the front of the party. That's a great combination.
And here we go again. Everybody make a sandwich while we wait for the cast animations to finish.
I ain't got no bread, though. I got some hot dog buns. Does that count?
Well, that's a good question. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No! How dare you?
I wasn't implying anything. Inquiring minds need to know.
Inquiring minds need to stop inquiring about my hot dogs. Similarly, just because you put lettuce on it does not make it a sandwich. A Chicago dog is still a dog. And also, why? And yes, that is still my cat.
Oh. Hank heard you say dog and had to chime in.
I think he was more intrigued about the hot dog part. I don't know if he's ever met a dog in his life, but hot dogs, yes.
And the third ribbon going Dee Dee's way.
So he's set defensively, but he really needs to find that slab and crown. So he gonna be looking for a bit. Mage largely knows what's happening. He's clearing through the crown side quest. Now that he's got the key, he's got access to most everything. I'm gonna laugh if the key is in Elfland's castle.
Oh, we're about to find out.
4 chests. I mean, what's the odds, man? How many chests are there in this game?
A lot of nothing in those chests. And guess what?
Oh man, there was a cure though. Woo!
You're out of warp charges. Better stay at the inn. All of this opening treasure chests has made them pretty tired out. They gotta stay the night.
Gotta use that common room. That's why it's only 100 gil. Mage is going back for the locked room in Astos' castle. We got lost. It's off to the right and then back around.
And runs right into a trap tile.
Which is the style of the time. He wants to show those images. Who's boss?
So 3 fiends down for DD, but still has no idea where the slab or the and he's gonna check the dragon's hoard right now.
So yeah, he's gonna get the crown very shortly. Mage walks onto the same trap tile.
It's like he's gonna do. Did he even check any chests?
He did, but there wasn't anything worth looking at.
Ah, okay.
Like money, and I think a cloth, and then more money. The proof of courage might be anything. Especially if that dragon won't move!
And DD's gonna go for the promotion.
Entirely fair.
Good move, especially with an inventory full of opal equipment.
Plus, he's got a 30-plus black belt. At that point in time, becoming a master really matters far less. I mean, you're topping out with a full party after Temple of the Past to, like, maybe 34 or 35. You're losing, what, 12, 16 magic defense? That's negligible. And now he will go and find the crown and immediately do the business. And there's the crown. I mean, he upgraded everybody. Why not immediately swap to the Aegis and Opal and equip those? There we go. That's what he's doing. I was looking for a second thinking, what are you doing?
You can't pass up that defense sword.
I mean, you can, but don't. love it whenever I see somebody throw away one of those super weapons like the katana. No, I've got better. I've got a sword I'm never going to use, which I think is amazing. So DD is going to roll up on Astos. So let's place your bets. Who's going to kill him? Is it going to be the fighter? Is it going to be the black belt? Or, I don't know, Willie cast a spell? Those are your options. No, he's casting Nuke. Oh, Nuke! Nuke for the win! Wow! I am shocked by this turn of the situations. Whatever.
Just gonna make an example out of him for the rest of the Dark Elves who feel like stealing crowns.
I respect that. You've got a crown, but I got Nuke. Bring it. He didn't bring it. I mean, the dude threw back his cloak, so you know he means business. And then Nuke, so you can't really learn the lesson now. You dead.
And now it'll be DD's turn to clear out all of the crown chests.
AKA, how much disappointment will I feel? I'd like to throw it out there just for the sake of doing so. How sad is it going to be if the slab is on the top floor of Ordeals? I mean, because Mage was there, man.
That would be back-to-back seeds with something required in Ordeals for both of these players.
Ugh, just going out of your way to Ordeals is such a kick in the pants, though. I say early Ordeals or I ain't going. I'll just forfeit. I don't care.
We have a Mazmune.
We do. So DD is set.
And DD just throws the Sun Sword aside. Thanks for your contribution.
I mean, I can't argue.
And it's the slab. So the slab was keylock. And with 3 ribbons, the Mazmune, and a pile of great armor, I would say he's ready to go. It looks like he'll do what any good adventurer will do and rob a bunch of dwarves before getting on with his quest. Sees the white shirt. It'll be interesting to see if he goes back to pick it up. He does not. It's interesting, especially given his armor loadout. He only has, if I remember correctly, the Black Mage has no armor at all. Yeah, I definitely feel like leaving behind the white shirt is a bit of a mistake. Although with this current round seeds, it's not a critical mistake. And DD is about to join the toga party. And just because he can, let's see what's in the level 8 shop. Fade. Vanilla fade. Not random enough. Yeah, in the last run between these two players, DD forgot to translate the slab, so it's not likely he'll make that same mistake again. And... no, don't do it. No!
Don't fight the Tyro! No!
Hey, he resets!
I believe it. That's fair. Honestly, yeah, okay.
The mind games are real. Wow. Hats off to you, sir. The question in chat, what is the significance of the Tyro? And really, all you need to do is just look at his face. I mean, if that's not a winning smile, I don't know what is. Yeah, meanwhile, Mageius is kind of getting the business in the Sea Shrine. And you can't really broil those sharks. They have pretty tough hides. Gershark is a good fight to pick up, though. They have a fair amount of EXP, but it looks like they've unfortunately picked up a fair amount of health as well. So this next punch ought to do it, but it soaked up a lot of time. And DD's got to sit through a very annoying ambush of 6 catmen, although one of them ran away.
I do apologize, I'm not able to contribute right this second. I have to re-screw my keyboard back onto my desk because it broke.
It's okay. Take your time. Thanks for keeping us posted. So Mage is going to stay at the inn, although he forgot to pick up his red mage first, and he's going to go do that right now. And DD Gamings makes short work of that blue D, and yeah, it looks like he's got pretty much everything that he needs, so it's going to be straight off to the Warmech Bridge in a few levels. And it looks like while trying to heal up, he accidentally cast Exit, and every runner has felt the pain of that before, but at least he was only halfway up the tower rather than at the top when it happened. Mage doing a little bit of inventory Tetris, and my goodness, does he have a lot of pro rings. Yeah, question from chat. Why did DD exit out? It looked like just missed input. Heal 2 was right next to exit, and that's something that every runner of this game has done at least 5 or 6 times in their career. Mageius once again losing his red mage, and at this point I might consider making the exact swap that he did with the higher HP pool and moving that opal bracelet over to him. It's assuming he still has the silver armor in his inventory. And everybody get your Warmech Bless ready, because this is the Warmech Bridge, and we've got a 3 in 256 chance of seeing our favorite death robot. Just a bunch of hot air for now. Three air encounters in a row. And he makes it. All things considered, a very easy Warmech Bridge. It looks like Mage has figured out that this is an unrunnable encounter. And although Ice 2 not as strong as a Lit 2 in this situation, still gets the job done with how little HP the Red Sahags have. It looks like the one charge of Fade is coming out. And a nuke. And a punch. And good night, Tiamat. You will be missed. Not really. DD running into a sandworm and elects not to mess around with those guys because they have crack. And that's pretty bad. Stops off at Gaia, though, to pick up Life 2. I like this move a lot.
Yeah, Life 2 is duh. I mean, by and large, it's duh.
And Mageius getting roughed up by a bunch of ghosts. Looks like they wanted to add to their ranks, and they were successful. Has to reset. So once more into the Sea Shrine. And DD is into the Temple. Temple of Fiends Revisited. And elects to not deal with all the damage from that first Frosty encounter. They can really pile it on with the blizzards, but this preemptive strike is going to let them run away without taking any damage. Now the question is, well, the question would have been, will he run into the gas dragons? And the answer is yes, and these guys are pretty nasty as well.
Pretty much all of the unrunnables in the Temple of the Past are annoying and stupid, and I hate them.
Gas dragons are notably offensive because they have access to the poison spell, which is basically like a blaze or a blizzard, just in an element that is not as easily resisted. And down they go, and have a heap of experience, boys. You did it. Looks like he got turned around a little bit, but no harm. Runs into a pack of bad men. Hopefully he can make it off of this floor before he gets into another unrunnable. Meanwhile, we have the Phantom, and he's just having his mages sit around and do nothing while the Black Belt goes in punching, and it's really all you need is 927 damage. Oh, the absolute greed, though. He's going to check the chests and find nothing useful. And another unrunnable, but this one is a fairly straightforward encounter. Zombie dragons are not as terrifying as most other things. And another pack of zombie dragons. Looks like DD's electing to burn some nuke charges early, which may give him trouble later if he runs into some difficult encounters on the water floor. But for now, gets it done in 2 rounds, saves a fair amount of time. And I believe DD also has access to Ice 2 against those waters, so it's not like he's without an option. It was only a little unfortunate that both Ice 3 and Nuke shared the same slot. Another pack of Frost Dragons, but he manages to get out. Mageius, meanwhile, checking the trap tiles in, or the chest behind trap tiles in the water shrine, and runs into an encounter that should give him a fair amount of experience. So DD's going to burn his cure spells off of the White Mage rather than healing from the potion inventory, and I like that move because after fighting Lich, you may be without White Mages. Lich's first move, 50% of the time, is a spell called Nuke, and Nuke can deal up to 400 damage. So it's best to just go all out on this fight. 55 damage from the Fire 3. The Monk one-shots Bag of Bones, and the mages live to see another day. Fire floor, pretty straightforward in comparison to the others. Not very many unrunnable encounters on this floor, so it's a nice little break in between the earth floor and what is arguably the most difficult floor of the water floor. And makes it to carry without incident. I'm going to burn an Ice 2 on carry, but it's not really going to do much. Carry, for being a fire fiend, is not actually weak to fire. Yeah, Nuke is a non-elemental spell, so spells without elements like Nuke and Fade and effects like Trance and Death Touch are not resisted by ribbons because they have no element that is resisted. Question in chat, are the max ranges for spells also within that randomized interval? And they are not. It's only the monster stats that are randomized.
Yeah, they don't even include like your stats for those, which is a bit of a shame. You'd feel like Nuke and Ice 3 would be able to do a bit more, but they don't, so I hope you've got enough charges to get by. Anywho, I surprisingly I actually have some family over here that requires me moving some things for them, so I need to cut out for the remainder of the race. So I apologize. Edge, you got this, so you go get it, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for sticking around, Drum. By the way, how did the keyboard go?
I'm still missing one of the screws. It kind of works okay, but I'm not comfortable typing.
Oh, that's okay. Nothing worse than having a screw loose.
I mean, why you gotta be like that, man?
6 waters for DD. One of the worst encounters you can have in the Temple of Fiends, but hopefully that Nuke can make short work of them. In the meantime, Mageius is closing in on his second orb lit by walking up to Kraken's room as we speak. And he goes right into the fight. No healing, no nothing. Nuke goes off first, which is good. That's a fair amount of damage. And that Invis 2 stack is going to be critical. If Kraken decides to physical attack, he will certainly survive it. Or not. You could just, crit for 500 and good night, Red Mage again. I was expecting him to hit the significantly more defended Black Belt, who did survive, but barely with 4 health. And that was a lot closer than expected. Normally, you don't see Kraken 1 being that aggressive. Kraken 2 is the guy who ends runs, but looked like he decided to give Mageius the business this time. And Kraken 2 goes down on DD's side. Significantly better armored, so the 8 tentacles of death not as scary for DD. And it's time to take out Tiamat. And Tiamat decides, you know what you really don't need in your party? A white mage. So all that preparation for getting life 2 only to have the one person that can cast it be dead. But actually now I bet DD's wishing that he had that white shirt right about now. It's like DD's electing to thin out this pack of vampires, and I don't really blame him between the dazzle effect and how hard they hit. They can be fairly annoying. With as much HP as the Black Belt and the Fighter have, or the Knight and the Master have in this instance, there shouldn't be too much of a problem taking out Chaos. But he can always be fairly unpredictable and has a very mean spell list, so Attacks first before the defense goes off, but only for 200. And we have fast charges off on both the Knight and the Master, so lots of damage ready to come in. Chaos casts his first spell, Ice 3. Not big damage on any of these players. Another 500 damage. And that's it. Good night, Chaos. DD Gaming finishes with a time very close to the time in the last race, 2:05:35. Official SRL time of 2:05:37. GG. DDG. So congratulations to DD Gamings. He will be moving on to the next round of the tournament, sending Mageius into the Garland bracket. Mageius picks up the Masmune, which will be a very nice pickup for his red mage. And we'll try to get DD in here for an interview shortly. And I believe that's him now. Hello, DD. Congratulations on your win.
Thanks.
So, how did you feel about the way this seed went?
Well, that felt pretty good actually because I was much luckier than yesterday's seed. I went to the right place right when I needed, so I didn't have to do any unnecessary dungeons.
It looks like you found all of the equipment you were looking for in a fairly straightforward way. Got the ribbons and in short order, and then found everything else that you needed in the crown chest.
Yeah, I got finding the Masmune in pretty much the same room as the final key item, which was the slab. Yeah, the slab. Finding the Masmune in pretty much the same room as the slab was really nice. I already had the Sun Sword, so that was already pretty good, but the Masmune is always a really neat upgrade.
So you felt like you could finish things out with the Sun Sword then? If needed?
Yeah, I would have used the tail anyway, but of course the Masmune is always better. I actually rely on my black belt much more than my fighter to deal damage, so anything I'd say Sun Sword is pretty much the bare minimum I will use, but anything over that is nice.
Yeah, and it looked like you were prioritizing your black belt. I noticed, or you gave him the power glove, and were always the first to fast him in battle.
Yeah, black belt pretty much always deal much more damages than any fighter or knight, unless of course you got the Masmune. And at that point they are pretty equal, so since the fighter will always take the hits, I prioritize the black belt to increase its damages. Just in case.
So it looks like the floater location was set up to troll everybody, but fortunately the ruby was an ice cave. When you picked up the ruby, was your first thought immediately to go to Earth afterwards?
My first thought was that I'd rather have found a floater, but yeah, I try to avoid any as many unnecessary dungeons as I can. So after finding the ruby, I was thinking about what if Mageius found the floater somewhere where I didn't win. He's got the advantage. So when I found the floater in the Earth Cave, I thought I kind of felt I had the lead. Since I went to the right dungeon right at the beginning, so I went to the ice cave, got the ruby, went to the earth cave, got the floater, so pretty much everything lined up really well.
So I noticed again you went with the level 2, power leveling 2 characters strategy. Is that something that you think you'll be using throughout the rest of the rounds in this tournament?
That would depend on the seed, but I don't really like power leveling only one character because I already wasted a lot of time since I power leveled only a black belt, and when I went further down into the volcano, I ran into death touch bulls and totally wasted my time. So I tried to keep at least 2 alive. And since fighter and black belt got way better, much more than any mages, I tend to keep those 2 alive and power level them.
I got a question in chat. What's the biggest thing that you learned competing in the first round of this tournament?
Oh boy, I learned a lot of things. Well, what did I learn? Yeah, that's a really hard question actually, because I already know that game a lot. I already practiced the randomizer. I finished that game at least once a year, and I've been doing that since the past like 15 years. So that's why I registered in this tournament. I was hoping I could do pretty nice. So I didn't learn much from the first round that I didn't learn when I was trying the randomizer before this first round.
Maybe what's the most notable difference then between, say, a vanilla run and the randomizer?
Oh boy, pretty much everything. Already just doing the volcano before anything else. I'd say the thing I learned most in this first round and when I was trying the randomizer is what is the logical order when you're looking for stuff. I'd say I will pretty much always start with the ice cave since you can land right before it. This is between this one, Castle of Ordeals, and Marsh Cave. This is the place where there are the most chests. I think maybe Marsh Cave, but I think Ice Cave got like 1 or 2 more chests. So I tend to do this one first now. I usually started with Ordeals and figured I was wasting my time.
And from what I've seen of both your races, your routing has been pretty good. So whatever you've learned, it's working. So keep it up.
Thanks a lot.
Another question in chat. What is the story behind the names of your party members?
Well, as you can easily guess, I'm not an English speaker. This is a second language for me, so I'm trying as I can. So these characters are pretty much abbreviations of streamers from Quebec I watch. So these are like some friends from Twitch, and of course 2 p.m. is someone. This is the name of a place where I go, Retro Arcade 2 p.m.s, and this is a friend of mine who watched the races. So I did that for him, even if he keeps dying all the time, but. Since the Black Mage is his favorite character, I decided to name the Black Mage after him, and TM and SL are some other streamers I watch from time to time, and they are friends.
All right then. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we move back to the play-by-play?
Yeah, some other really stupid mistake from my part, like dropping a ribbon and using the exit spell, what I didn't intend to.
We noticed that too, and that's something that every runner of the randomizer has done, you know, at least once or twice. So don't feel too bad about it. At least you weren't at the top of the Sky Castle when it happened.
Yeah, this was pretty fast, but I think this is the last time I keep a healing spell right beside the exit spell.
Also, thank you for not killing that Tyra.
Yeah, I decided to tease you a little.
Chat got a pretty big kick out of it, and so did I. So you got me 100%. Well played.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. I was kind of hoping I would run into a warm egg, but sorry, I didn't find him today.
Yeah, that's okay. He just happened to run into a win instead, and at 2-0, you'll be moving on to the next round. So again, congratulations on your victory.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm looking forward to the next round, even if I'm a little scared about... I know I will be against like Show or Files, so... This is a little scary.
Yeah, both great players. It'll be an interesting matchup, and round 2 flags are a little different, so...
Yeah, I tried it once or twice. I usually tried round 1 flags because, as I said, sometimes I had a crazy schedule in the last like 3 or 4 weeks. So when I got home, I had like an hour and a half to try a seed. So I kept with the round 1, but I'll start trying round 2, round 3, just in case.
So about how many seeds would you say you've played at this point?
Give me a sec, I can tell you the exact number. I kept them all. 27.
So 27 and getting both seeds done in about 2 hours is pretty good. So congratulations on again your victory, and it sounds like you're making pretty good progress.
Yeah, I'm trying.
All right, it looks like Mageius is currently on his way to promote his players. Did you feel with the fact that Life 2 was in the later shops that were you looking for the tail pretty actively?
I wasn't looking for it. I found it. I thought it was nice. I figured I would use it this time. Yesterday I didn't because I didn't see any interest in using it. But now, with no life spells whatsoever, I decided to use it since I found life 2 spells and I needed a white wizard to have it. Even though the only character that died in the Temple of Fiend was this wizard, so it was a total waste of time, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah, we know. Chat remarking that, of course, when your mage has 407 HP, you get hit for 408.
Yeah. Same happened to, I think that was the black mage who got hit for the exact amount of life remaining.
But it didn't seem to hurt you against Chaos at all. You were able to get 2 fast down and took them out in fairly short order.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I tend to power level both fighter and black belt. If one of them dies, I always have a backup plan. And I figured it takes about like 15-20 minutes to power level them, which is of course, double the amount if I only power leveled 1. So, like 10 more minutes, but one wipe is gonna waste way more than those 10 minutes, so I'd rather play it safe.
Playing it safe has worked out, so... meanwhile, Mageius is... looks like he's trying to find the area where you pick up the slab, and he's found it. Just needs to find a place to land. No shortcuts, Mageius. You gotta walk through the Tyro Forest.
You need to kill one.
He runs into a pack of zombies instead, and resets instead of trying to clear them out. Mage is making it to Lefen. He will now he'll get the chime after dodging some men in togas. And a pair of sandworms for Mageius. Gets away before any of them can cast Crack. Question in chat, are there going to be more races tonight? I do not know off the top of my head, so let me look that up in the schedule right now. And while I look away, he takes out a T-Rex. One of the rarer encounters in the game. That blue Tyro is worth a hefty amount of experience, but only shows up 3 out of 256 times. There sounded like a brief slowdown in the emulation for Mageius, so my guess is he alt-tabbed out to look at something. And after knocking out that blue D, Mageius is into the floating castle. It looks like he's headed straight up for Tiamat. Finds a sentry and elects to run from it. Sentries can give pretty good experience, but they sure hit hard. And they can be pretty beefy on the defense department. Goon Kid looking pretty roughed up, but 1 Cure 4 ought to take care of that. Or, you know, you can do 2 Cure 3s. There we go. Good as new. At a pair of nachos here. These are good experience, but he'll just run for now. And a pack of man cats. Gets away before the fire twos can really start raining down. And everybody get ready. We are on the Warmack Bridge. So far, 2 encounters easily escaped from. But this Nacho's going to get the first hit in. Looks like Mageius doesn't want anything to do with those angry Doritos, but... and trips over a bunch of fire hydrants. Wow, the encounter rate is not being kind to Mageius. If I recall correctly, DDG only had about 3 encounters going through this. And he's made it across the bridge. Only one thing left to do, and that's to say hello to Tiamat. See if she has anything to say about that. Mageius getting the fast off on his black belt. And another 9 hits for a substantial amount of damage, especially with Nuke queued up. This ought to be the last round of the fight. Oh, 254. So 1 more hit will do it. And I am 0 for 2 on certainty predictions today. There we go. And Mageius takes out Tiamat. So with that 4th crystal lit and the key already in hand, he's going to head right into the Temple of Fiends. And a ghost decides to step forward, say hello, and run away. Wishing the Light Warriors the best of luck. With 2 ribbons, fair amount of good equipment, and level 26, he should be in pretty good shape. Let's also consider that by the time he makes it to the Tiamat floor, he is likely to not be level 26. Oh, and he tries to run from an unrunnable encounter, and 6 frost wolves, all casting frost, is going to take a lot of time out of his day. Electing to reset rather than fight through that encounter, and can't say that I blame him for it. He's only a floor behind. But he runs into yet another unrunnable encounter, and this time tries to run again. There's no getting away from the worms. But big damage numbers from both the Master and the Red Mage make short work of those worms. And now we are on the 3rd floor. Will we see any of the dreaded gas dragons? And sure enough, we will. And he attempts to run from this unrunnable encounter. Question in chat, what makes an encounter unrunnable? There are no set rules for it. There's just a fixed number of encounters that you just know from the formation. So, for example, this purple worm that Mageius is fighting right now, you cannot run from them no matter what formation they are in. Same with the gas dragons. If you ever see a gas dragon, you can't run from it. But there are combinations of enemies where some of them are unrunnable and some are not. For example, you can run from Wiz Ogres, you can run from Cerebuses, but you cannot run from Wiz Ogres when combined with Cerebuses. It can get a little confusing. The runner's best hope is to simply just memorize all of the encounters you can't run from. Mage is taking another shot at the 3rd floor. This time runs into a pack of bad men rather than the gas dragons, but they seem to be going pretty hard after the mages. And a couple of run fails means that they're going to get another shot at this party. And looks like Mageius is going to try to punch his way out. Down goes... Yep, and he resets. Fairly high damage numbers. I'd be interested to see what his equipment loadout is. Hopefully he hasn't forgotten to equip some armor or something. Manages to get away from the frost dragons. And on to, once again, a floor with 3 gas dragons. And looks like he's gonna nuke. The poison's hitting his party really hard. We'll see if, his physical damage dealers go first, clearing out the formation and saving him a nuke charge. Also leveling up his party. Given in what rough shape they are, I'd almost consider warping out at this point, or exiting. But looks like he's going to proceed. And here we have a pack of bad men, and he's not going to mess around with these guys. He may assume that they're unrunnable, but this nuke is going to make short work of most of the pack. Once again, I am proven to be a liar. It's a good thing he cast the second follow-up. And pretty bad luck on Mageius' side. Nuke can deal anywhere from 100 to 400 damage, depending on whether the enemy resists it or not. He got some fairly low rolls on a couple of those guys. Normally, 2 casts of Nuke would have almost certainly cleared out that entire formation. And now it's time for Phantom. And Phantom is going to hold on for one more turn, cast Stop, and you really don't want to get much further into his spell list, so hopefully they deal with him fairly quickly. And they do. Because the very next spell Phantom casts after Stop is Zap, and that's Time Elemental Instant Death. And with only 2 ribbons, he would be in pretty rough shape. And he once again tries to run away from this unrunnable battle, but at least it's only 2 Frost Wolves instead of 6, so it won't take him very long. Fire 3 will clear out the Frost Wolves, and the physical attackers will clear out the Frost Giants. Or the Nuke. Good question from Bardo about DD checking those last 2 chests in Temple of Fiends Revisited. Maybe he was just validating the run. I mean, those are the validation chests after all. Oh, and a low roll on the top right zombie dragon. It's gonna hurt a little bit. Mageius is expending quite a bit in the way of resources just to get down to the next 2 floors, but the benefit is that he has already gained 3 levels on almost every character. And now dips into the heal potions. Mageius once again attempting to run from the worms, and it must be just by instinct at this point. But this is... Ooh, and they have Sleep Touch as well. Goon Kid waving to the worm, and luck will put him to bed. Level 27 for Goon Kid. Any extra levels on the mages were well appreciated at this point, just because Lich can make a mockery of you. Worm doesn't care very much about your Fire 3, but a Mass Immune to the face, however, is a different story. And Mageius runs into the pack of green Medusas and is gonna throw a Fire 3 and a Lit 3 at him. If he feels he's under-leveled, this is one of the best enemy encounters for picking up some extra experience. Oh, but he set the white mage to run away, and he loses about 10,000 experience points. Actually, a little more than that. But he won't be able to run from this encounter. DD Gaming noting in chat that the run was already validated because he got the out of bounds bat. Well, then your run is doubly validated. So, double congratulations. In fact, you could say it was validated the third time by not killing any Tyros, so did everything right this run. Keep it up. The quadruple validation still proving to be elusive. And looks like we have a little bit of stream instability on Mageius' side. We will try to get that straightened out. But at this point, Mageius is looking to heal up right before the fight with Lich. Not sure if Rosa has enough levels to exceed 400 HP, but if she does, then she should be in pretty safe position for fighting Lich. And it looked like the Lich fight went very well during the service interruption, so no one is dead, and we have the fire floor now. And now we have Carrie. Looks like Mageius is going all out. Not a bad plan, especially against this fiend. Carrie with a fire 3, but with lots of defensive equipment, not as scary as it would be earlier in the game. Electing to throw a fast on his black belt, but the black belt decides, 6 hits is enough. Don't need 12. And now we are on to the water floor. And it looks like Mageius is going to take the right side path? Not quite sure. Perhaps he's looking at a map right now. Heads over to the left. And another good encounter to run from. In fact, I would say it's probably the nicest encounter on this floor, right next to the Gershark and Big Eyes. Oh, he might think that this is unrunnable, but his team just failed. Certainly, though, the extra experience won't hurt, but it's going to take him a little bit more time. Ooh, and a low nuke roll on the Gray Shark is going to make this last a little longer. But only a little. Red Mage does a 720 on his face, and that'll do it. Everybody up to level 28 and 29. And now, time to heal up before running into the big man himself. Someone in chat noting that the official Nintendo Power Guide to Final Fantasy printed the floor, the final floor of this temple upside down. They were also nice enough to not tell you what any of the insides of the rooms on the final few floors were. Fortunately, the only treasure you really cared about where it was the Masmune, but their attempt at obfuscating the maps was not appreciated. And Kraken leads off with ink. That's what every run